Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm here to talk about Supernatural episode 1323, titled Let the Good Times Roll, which premiered Thursday, May 17, 2018 on the CW. I am recording an hour and 20 minutes after the episode has aired, so it is the season finale, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I'm going to try to do this in 10 minutes, so I'm going to start the clock, and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So firstly, reminder that the then section of the episode, or the recap if you were, was accompanied by the Carry On Wayward Sons theme song, as it always does for the finales and the premieres. So there was that, and a whole bunch of huge recaps of what happened in the season. So anyways, timeline-wise, there wasn't any specifics on how long it's been, but I think my understanding is that enough time has passed for all the refugees from the apocalypse world to have settled down in our world, I'm going to call it. I think maybe a week. I don't know how long it takes, but it's long enough for Sam to give them a crash course in what's different between the worlds, and it's long enough for one of them to have a crush on the guy who works at the gas station. So it has to be enough time for them to come and go, I guess. So I'm assuming it's a week. I don't know if it's been more than that. Also, you have to keep in mind of how long would it have taken Michael and Lucifer to gather all the different ingredients they needed. If it was super quick, then I guess it could have been the next day. If it took longer, then that also changes the timeline stuff. Anyways, so huge episode reminder is the fact of the archangels Michael and Lucifer working together to gain access to our world. The breakdowns of the episode, though, I pretty much thought of 3 different storylines. First one being Maggie's killer, second one being the archangels divide for their own specific reasons, and then in the end it's the archangels Michael and Lucifer fighting against each other. So the first storyline, Maggie is one of the refugees from the apocalypse world. She ends up being found dead, which results in more guilt for Jack, but her resurrection brings on to light who truly killed her, which leads to a bunch shedding some light on some very unsavory things. I'll leave it at that. Second storyline, though, Archangels divide into the fact that we see their deal come into play, where Lucifer goes after Jack and runs off with him and doesn't intervene with Michael getting everything else in the world. And he first goes after those who opposed him, which is our team Free Will, which is Sam, Dean, and Castiel first. So there's that. And then with the third storyline, we get Michael and Lucifer facing off against each other, although Michael is now using Dean as his vessel when he takes on Lucifer. So there is that. Dean mostly says yes to Michael because Sam's life was on the line with Lucifer, as well as Jack, it was presumed. So there's that. So last scene of the episode shows Michael walking the streets wearing a brand new set of clothes while Dean is his vessel. The episode ends with a cut scene, or I guess with the scene ending on a freeze frame with Dean with the blue eyes. So there's that. So tidbit-wise, though, we find out that it was released in the sneak peek, but Sam and Dean contemplate what retiring could look like for them, and Dean only sees that happening if he truly believes the world is safe. So is that. We also see Dean giving Jack some advice about how to deal with your own grief, and how saying nobody's perfect, but it allows for them to become better, type of thing. Also, we find Bobby admitting to Mary that he could see himself making a life in this new world and not returning to his home in the apocalypse world. We get side comments from Bobby saying that Ketch is off doing Ketch things, how Rowena and Charlie are on a road trip down south, and Bobby thinks that's a whole bunch of ginger trouble right there. I really got to see these two together, like, for sure. And then also, we see Jack using his powers to force the truth from Lucifer. So there's that. You see Lucifer donning the yellow eyes when he confesses to murdering Maggie. Spoiler right there. So there's that. End tally or death tally. 3 to 4 werewolves. It was the beginning hunt that Sam and Dean joined in on for Castiel and Jack. Apocalypse Maggie was killed. She was later resurrected by Lucifer as one of Jack's terms to leave with him. So I put her on because she kind of technically counted. And then Lucifer himself was killed by Dean because he had the power of Michael in it. And pretty much because it was Dean who was being possessed by Michael, yet he was in control. He was the one that killed Lucifer. They finally fulfilled the apocalyptic battle that they were trying not to do back in season 5. The only difference is now it's Michael of a different world who possessed Dean, and it wasn't Sam that was getting possessed by Lucifer. So with Lucifer's death, though, that means that all 4 archangels of our world are now dead. Or technically, I don't know. Michael of our world is still stuck in the cage, assuming, but he's not getting out. And then Raphael was killed in season 6 by Castiel, or God Castiel, if it were. And then Gabriel was killed by Apocalypse Michael a few episodes ago, and now Lucifer was just killed. So that's 4. So unless we see Michael in the cage coming out, no more archangels. So there's that. But moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode, I have to say I was shocked that Lucifer was killed. I had not expected that. I really thought he might have weaseled his way out of it again or something, or since that's always been the case, but yeah, that surprised me. Another thing that was a surprise, though, I mean, the promo kind of gave it away that it would be Dean fighting Lucifer, but what surprised me, the fact that it was actually Dean fighting Lucifer. It was Dean, as he said it, he was the one in control of the wheel while Michael was powering the engine, essentially. I thought, based off the promo, it would have been Michael against Lucifer, Michael controlling Dean as he fought against Lucifer, but when it was the other way around, it was Dean having access to Michael's power and facing off against Lucifer. So that was a surprise there. However, I was not surprised when Michael took full control over Dean at the very end. I kind of predicted that would happen, especially when they announced that Jensen would be playing another character. I feared it would come to this, but it's not a complete surprise that it did happen. I guess the surprise would be that Michael allowed for Dean to have as much control as he did at first, but yeah, anyways. Moving on to top 3 favorite moments, I have to say the first one has to be Dean giving Jack that advice after he woke him up from his nightmare. Great speech, great words of wisdom, definitely from experience from Dean. So it's great to see that. Another favorite of mine has to be all the different flashbacks that we got of the old scenes, whether it's pertaining to what happened this season in the Apocalypse world, or whether it was all the way back from season 5 when we got Zachariah and Gabriel telling Sam and Dean about them being the vessels of Michael and Lucifer, the true vessels of Michael and Lucifer. So it's really interesting to see those types of flashbacks and the way they brought them back into the episode to make it fit or flow, I guess you could say. So there's that. And another favorite of mine would have to be the fact that we saw Sam and Dean actually contemplating what retirement could look for them. As beforehand, as you see the seasons have progressed, they always thought that they would die during a hunt or during a battle of some sort. Like, they would die trying to save the world. And now they're thinking that maybe they could step aside if it meant that they could step aside when the world was safe. So it was just very interesting to see that conversation and just to see what they picture their retirement could look like. Dean mentioned the two of them with Castiel on a beach, sipping on drinks with umbrellas in them and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. Moving on to top 3 peeve moments. The only peeve I really had was the Michael and Lucifer scene. Specifically, the fight that happened when they were airborne. I mean, I love the fact that they were fighting each other, don't get me wrong, but when they went in the air and started doing that stuff, it just looked so weird. I mean, that's what peeved me. It took me out of the moment because I felt like, well, that looks stupid or that looks weird. I mean, I know that they have wings and it makes sense why they'd be flying, but the way it was maneuvered, it just looked really weird. And because it took me out of the moment, that's why it's a peeve of mine. So there's that. But moving on to what will I remember most when I look back on this episode, the fact that we got that scene, that fight between Dean and Lucifer. So there's that. But moving on to random questions, very quickly. First one being, so we essentially killed one archangel, Lucifer, only to gain another Michael as our enemy. I mean, I don't know, is that progress? They didn't really move anywhere if I word it that way. So there's that. Second question, though, did anyone else think that Dean's time with the Mark of Cain would have corrupted him from being an angel's vessel? Because they talk about how with the Mark Arcane, how when Lucifer had worn it first, the mark is what corrupted him into being the person, the angel that he was, that eventually ended up with him being cast into the cage. And because we saw the mark corrupt Dean in many ways in season 9, 10, and seasons 9 and 10, I'm wondering if that all did anything to him that would have made him not a viable vessel anymore. I mean, I had high hopes because I don't want Dean to be possessed, but like, still. Also, another question, there's a timer, I'll try to be quick, but is it possible to kill an archangel without another archangel? I mean, because that's now the issue now, because there's no one else out there that could properly stop Michael, except if you release the cage Michael, but then you're stuck again with another archangel. So, because with that said, if the answer is no, you don't need another archangel to kill another archangel, then could what Sam did to evict Gadriel from using him as a vessel be used to save Dean from Michael using him as a vessel? So that was another side question there. Sam being possessed by Gadriel was in season 9. So there's that. It's been a while. But I hope we come back to that. The whole archangel, needing another archangel to kill an archangel, you really could only truly win if Gabriel was the one that came out on top, because he was on Team Free Will, essentially. So there's that. Also, another question is, did Jack permanently lose his powers with Lucifer's death? We did see Lucifer steal Jack's powers. I'm wondering if that was more like a temporary thing and Jack just needs time to generate his power or his grace back up again, or if essentially he stole his, or if Lucifer stole Jack's powers and then like that's it, he's now fully human. I'm wondering which version that is the case for him. Another question is, are there consequences to resurrection by an angel, or did Lucifer use that excuse so that Maggie couldn't identify as him as her killer once she was resurrected? Because he did make the claim that resurrecting Sam is a special case. Could be because of Sam's his true vessel, or it could just be him bullshitting his way why he could do one resurrection but not the other. So there's that. Also another question of what happens with the state of heaven now that we have another archangel dead, since we need that angel mojo to repower heaven. So is that, and another question, or the last question will be, when did Michael realize just who Dean was to him? I always got the impression that he didn't know who he was, and then when Dean started saying that I'm your true vessel type thing, and then Michael's like, I know who you are type. It's like, well, when did you know that? Why are you so willing to kill him when he could be the very thing that could get you at full power? So there's that. So anyways, moving on to predictions. Since this was the season finale, there really is no predictions to go off of, except some news and then maybe some overall predictions for what's to come next year. But on May 11th, 2018, it was announced that Wayward Sisters wasn't picked up as a separate spinoff. But apparently this won't be the end of Wayward Sisters. That disappointing announcement, as it were. But does that mean we'll see that storyline return? Because as you know, in that backdoor pilot, we saw not only the rift opening to the Bad Place, but also the Bad Place's version of Kaya coming through the rift into our world. So where we see the culmination of that setup there in a future episode of Supernatural, or how's that going to go down? But to be honest, I have mixed feelings about this news. I mean, on the one hand, I'm very bummed that we won't be getting this spin-off where we can see those recurring characters all the time and have them regular for us and learn more about them. Like, I really wanted this spin-off so I can learn more about these characters I've grown to really enjoy over the years with their little guest stars. But then on the other hand, I'm slightly relieved because Supernatural is still airing. And and if we had Supernatural and Wayward Sisters going at the same time, which I would love. I mean, that's more Supernatural, perfect. But then you always have the issue, because they both exist in the same universe. You have to be aware of making sure that whatever happens on either show don't contradict each other, or they don't have continuity issues, which is something like the Arrowverse tends to do a lot of the time, where something would happen on one of the 4 shows that would that would technically affect everyone else in the universe, and yet there's no mention, no repercussions of what happens in one show affecting the other 3 shows. So I'm a little relieved that we won't have that potential issue if both Supernatural and Weaver Sisters were airing at the same time. But again, still bummed that I won't get to see those ladies again on a more regular basis. With that said, though, May 17th, which is today, had the CW upfronts. And it revealed that Supernatural Season 14 will continue in its time slot at Thursdays at 8 p.m. With that said, though, Supernatural Season 14 predictions that I have would be that definitely Michael's going to be a problem, especially now that he's at full power with Dean as his vessel. I hope we see Dean struggling with Michael in control. In 522, we did see Sam facing off against Lucifer Sam in his mind, and how he's stuck dealing with being possessed. Plus, we've also seen how it is when Sam was possessed by Gadriel inside his head, or how Castiel was being possessed by Lucifer in his head in season 11. So we have seen that happen before. So I hope we get to see that with Dean. That way we get both Jensen as Dean and as Michael, if that makes sense. Also, I think we're going to get Team Free Will trying to find a way to save Dean, yet try to find a way to stop Michael without hurting Dean, essentially. So there's that issue conundrum there. Also, we really got to find out how peril of a state heaven is in, because we did have that threat of if heaven were to ever lose power, all those souls in heaven would drop down as ghosts onto earth. So that's another issue right there, and I gotta know what are the odds of that happening very soon. So there's that right there, and I believe that is about it, guys. What'd you guys think of the season finale? What'd you guys think of this season as a whole? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and predictions about what you think is going to happen next season. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all the good stuff, all found in one place, so go check that out. I am behind, I am aware, but now that finale season is coming up, I'm hoping to catch up on everything in one go, hopefully, but be on the lookout for that. Also, WordPress account, if you want, that is linked to everything I post online. It's more organized, but it's a work in progress as well, but the link for that is down below. So go check that out as well. If you want a detailed recap of the episode, a play-by-play of the episode, check out my Livejournal entry. The link for that is down below. I type that up as I watch the episode for the first time, so you get my moment thoughts, questions, quotes, all that. I just have to format and color it, and then it will be posted. But yeah, that's going to take a moment. I have a few to get through. But yeah, but that's about it, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next time to see what I have to say about Supernatural. Next video I plan on doing is pertaining to the CW upfront, so be on the lookout for that very shortly. And I'm still determining whether or not I'm going to do videos for season 14. Maybe for the premiere to see how it goes, but I'll let you know. But until then, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.